In a quiet corner of medieval Europe, where castles rose like proud guardians over fertile valleys and rolling meadows, lived a young knight named Floris. His heart, brave and loyal, had long been admired by his peers, but he was restless. The world beyond the castle walls called to him, not with the lure of gold or glory, but with the hope of something deeper, love, perhaps, or a destiny he had yet to understand. Blancheflor lived in the neighboring castle, known across the countryside for her grace and gentle heart. Her eyes, soft as dawn, carried a light that warmed those around her, yet she was lonely in her own world of stone towers and formalities. Though her days were filled with study, music, and embroidery, her thoughts often wandered to the forests and fields beyond her home. She longed for adventure, for someone who could see her not as a noble lady, but as a young woman with dreams and feelings. It was in the castle gardens, under the first blush of spring, that their paths crossed. Floris had been sent on a diplomatic visit, a gesture of goodwill between their families. He walked the cobbled paths, admiring the roses that clung to the stone walls, when he heard the soft hum of a melody. Following it, he found Blancheflor tending a small rose garden, her fingers gentle as she guided the blooms. For a moment, neither spoke. Floris, captivated by her presence, and Blancheflor, surprised yet intrigued by his quiet confidence, shared a look that felt like recognition, an understanding of something neither had felt before. The garden became their secret place. They met whenever they could, under the guise of courtly visits or chance encounters, speaking in whispers about hopes, dreams, and the world beyond their walls. Over time, their affection deepened. Floris admired Blancheflor's wit and kindness, while she found in him a courage that was both inspiring and comforting. Their connection was electric yet tender, a gentle flame that neither dared to reveal openly. For the life of a knight and a noblewoman carried strict expectations, and any hint of scandal could separate them forever. Yet, despite the risk, they cherished each stolen moment, knowing that what they felt was rare and precious. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the distant hills, painting the sky with hues of gold and rose, Floris took Blancheflor's hand. "If the world were ours to shape," he said softly, "I would ask for nothing more than to remain by your side always." Blancheflor's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. "And if the world refuses us?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Then I will wait," Floris promised. "No distance, no duty, no time can change what I feel for you." Their vows, unspoken but understood, bound them in a secret romance that would endure trials beyond their imagining. The garden, bathed in twilight, became the first witness to a love both fierce and fragile, a love that would be tested by fate and circumstance in ways they could not yet foresee. Months passed, and the harmony of their secret meetings was threatened by the looming shadow of war. Kingdoms around them were restless, alliances shifting like sand under a stormy sea. Floris, as a knight sworn to serve his lord, was called to lead troops into a distant conflict. The news reached Blancheflor on a crisp autumn morning, delivered with the careful words of a servant who feared for her heart. Her hands shook as she read the letter he had left, knowing that soon he would be swept into a world of danger and uncertainty. She ran to the garden, hoping for one last glimpse before he departed. The leaves had begun to turn, and a chill had crept into the air. There, waiting beneath the boughs of a flowering tree, she saw him, clad in armor, helmet under his arm, eyes full of solemn determination. "I must go," Floris said, his voice steady yet tinged with sorrow. "The king demands it, and I cannot refuse." Blancheflor's lips quivered. "And if you do not return?" "Then you will carry my heart with you," he replied, taking her hands in his. "I will return, Blancheflor, no matter the distance, no matter the danger. Our love is stronger than any sword or decree." Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. Letters were smuggled through trusted messengers, each one a lifeline of words and longing. Floris wrote of battles fought, of nights under foreign stars, of dreams of returning to her side. Blancheflor's letters spoke of hope and endurance, of tending her garden and imagining him walking through it once more. Yet, war is not a gentle master. Floris's company faced skirmishes that tested the bravest of hearts. News traveled slowly, often arriving days or weeks late. Blancheflor clung to every word, every fragment of reassurance, even as the fear of loss gnawed at her heart. The distance between them seemed insurmountable, yet their love remained unwavering, a beacon in the darkness. One bitter winter, Blancheflor received word that Floris had been wounded in battle. Panic gripped her chest, but she did not falter. Determined to see him, she disguised herself as a messenger and traveled the treacherous roads. Snow fell around her, cold and unrelenting, but the thought of him kept her moving. When she finally reached the encampment, she found Floris lying in a small tent, bandaged but alive. Their reunion was quiet yet profound. Words were unnecessary. Floris took her hand, pressing it to his heart. Blancheflor rested her head on his chest, feeling the steady beat that had never wavered for her. The world around them, the war, the fear, the uncertainty, faded for a brief, shining moment. And in that moment, they knew that no matter the trials ahead, their love would endure, unbroken and unyielding. Returning from the battlefield, Floris was hailed as a hero. Yet honor and accolades could not ease the tension that lingered in his heart. The war had changed him, made him more aware of the fragility of life, and the certainty of love he had for Blancheflor now felt even more precious. But the world outside their garden still bore obstacles. Blancheflor's family, noble and proud, began to notice the affection between the young knight and their daughter. Though they admired Floris's bravery, they feared for Blancheflor's reputation. Noble alliances were fragile, and any union had political weight. Whispers began to circulate, and Blancheflor's parents grew wary, subtly discouraging their meetings. For the first time, Floris and Blancheflor faced a different kind of battle, not against swords or enemies, but against expectations and authority. They met in secret still, but the shadow of suspicion loomed. Every glance from a servant or passerby carried potential danger. Their stolen moments became both more precious and more fraught. One evening, under the pale light of a crescent moon, Floris spoke quietly as they sat beneath their beloved rose bushes. "If the world forbids us, then I will fight for us in every way I can. But I fear this war, this one within our walls, may be harder than any I've faced with a sword." Blancheflor rested her head against his shoulder. "Then we endure it together," she whispered. "Love does not shrink from trial. It grows because of it." Days turned to weeks, and the strain began to weigh heavily. Blancheflor's family arranged a potential match for her, a wealthy nobleman whose power could secure alliances. She resisted with all her heart, refusing to bend to what felt like a cruel fate. Floris, aware of the threat, sought counsel from wise friends and allies, trying to find a way to secure a future where they could be together without fear or secrecy. At last, Floris approached Blancheflor's family, pleading not only as a knight, but as a man whose heart was devoted entirely to their daughter. He spoke of loyalty, courage, and the purity of love that had endured across distance and danger. Slowly, hearts softened. Though wary, they saw the sincerity in his eyes and the steadfastness of his devotion. And so, after many trials and anxious nights, Blancheflor's family relented. The couple could be together openly, a promise of joy after long suffering. Yet, even in victory, the world reminded them that life's challenges never truly end. Love, they realized, was a garden that required constant care. Years passed, and Floris and Blancheflor's love became legend in their region. Their early trials, war, distance, and family opposition had forged a bond unbreakable by time or circumstance. The gardens where they first met flourished, tended carefully by Blancheflor's gentle hands, each bloom a symbol of endurance, hope, and tenderness. Their life together was filled with quiet joys. They rode together across sun-dappled fields, shared laughter over small domestic victories, and found peace in the rhythm of daily life. The hardships of their youth had taught them patience and compassion, and their affection deepened in ways that were gentle, yet profoundly intimate in emotion and spirit. Floris, once a restless knight, now felt a rootedness that brought him serenity. Blancheflor, once lonely and constrained by expectation, had found a partner whose heart mirrored her own. They shared dreams of the future, of children, of a world shaped not only by duty and rank, but by love's guiding hand. Yet even as life brought them contentment, the memory of their earlier trials lingered. On quiet evenings, they would walk through their garden, hand in hand, speaking softly of the days when their meetings were hidden and every touch carried the weight of longing. They remembered the nights of separation, the fear of loss, and the ache of waiting. These memories, though tinged with pain, were treasured. They reminded them of the depth of their devotion. One spring morning, as the first light touched the petals of the roses, Floris turned to Blancheflor and said, "We have endured so much, my love, and yet it feels as though our story is only beginning." Blancheflor smiled, her eyes reflecting the sunlight. "It is," she agreed. "And now we live not in fear or secrecy, but in the freedom that love can grant. Every day is ours, together." The legend of Floris and Blancheflor spread beyond the castles and valleys, inspiring songs and stories of a love that endured trials and distance, a love that faced war, opposition, and fear, yet never faltered. Generations would tell of their courage, their patience, and their unwavering commitment to one another. In the end, Floris and Blancheflor's tale wasn't just about romance. It was about hope, resilience, and the power of love to overcome any obstacle. Beneath the roses in their secret garden, now open and bright, they found not only each other, but a testament to what it means to love with a heart entirely devoted, a love that would endure for all time.